Now, it was always going to be a pretty extraordinary occasion. 7 top BBC bosses from past and present lined up in front of MPs to be quizzed about 6- and 7-figure payoffs to corporation executives. The Public Accounts Committee wanted to know who knew what when and who actually authorised the payments. And the X factor was that everyone was apparently blaming everyone else, as Porrick O'Brien reports.
What about allegations that you misled MPs?
I'm looking forward to talking to MPs later today.
In the Westminster Media Coliseum, it was top billing.
Would you abide by BBC values, Mr.
Giants of the BBC, past and present, slogging it out over excessive executive pay, clubbing each other with their respective reputations.
Can I thank you all for coming?
The key question, why did BBC Deputy Director Mark Byford get a large, non-contractual payout?
Why was £500,000, which for most people is mega bucks, not enough to get rid of somebody whom you decided you no longer needed in your organisation?
We wanted Mark Byford, through this difficult transition, fully focused on the enormous task we had. We didn't want him worrying about his future or taking calls from headhunters. We wanted him fully focused, and that is why we decided not to ask him to work through his notice.
Or in other words, we decided to keep him sweet to make sure he'd stay focused. In the real world, denominations in tens, not millions.
They're usually a tenner. We're not going to charge you 10, 9 or 8. 7's cheap, 6 is silly. Have you got a fiver? Have you got a fiver, look? Could you use all that? What's a fiver when you're on £1 million for the BBC?
Here in Broadwalk, Harlow, not a media executive in sight. Last year, the people here paid about £5 million in TV licence money. Now, that equates to about what was paid to 10 departing BBC executives. One of them got paid nearly £1 million.
Disgrace, absolute disgrace. People were trying to make ends meet, and big bosses having big payouts, lying to the government, send them to prison.
And if you're deceitful, you deserve what you get as well. What comes round goes round, doesn't it?
Even with all of these scandals, Savile, executive pay, do you still trust the BBC?
Yes. Basically, yes. Because the current expression is a line in the sand, and they know that they can go up to that line. Very occasionally go over it, but mostly they stay behind it.
The governance is broke.
Back at committee, we were learning what it was like to sit through a BBC executive board meeting.
Take your point. I think a lot of people listening to this discussion will have started to lose the will to live.
Performance is assured, measured, dull. The ex-Director General gave context. These payments were made, but it was against the backdrop of a 25% management call. The clash of the titans, Thompson's v Lord Patton, never materialised. The head of Human Resources, Lucy Adams, got herself in some more hot water.
Did you suggest to HR colleagues that these sort of payments should be viewed by them as sweetness?
As sweetness? I think it's a strange term. I think it's what we're talking about is enabling people to leave the business in a way that minimises disruption, that avoids legal risk. As a shorthand term, possibly, but I don't recollect that.
But then, 10 minutes later...
I have had an email just copied to me just now, forwarded to Mr. Barclay from a whistleblower, which does appear to come from you using the word sweetener.
The chairwoman saw red.
You're developing a habit, Ms Adams, of changing your evidence after
No, that's unfair. That's
the
really
hearing.
Unfair, Madam Chairman.
I don't think it is.
No, that's very unfair. All I ask is to see the document.
I don't think it is.
Then, like every good executive board meeting, any other business, out through the revolving door, glad it was over.
Very keen to get back to New York. Thank you very much.